watching the Avalanche tonight. But as we get ready for the Avalanche and the Oilers, I bring in our lead writer for the Avalanche at MileHighSports.com, Colleen Flynn. Colleen, thanks for joining us today. The first thing I want to start with is that the Avalanche are off to a fantastic opening part of their season. They only have one regulation loss. Nobody else in the league has fewer than 3, except for the Avalanche. So it's off to a good start, even though the extra time and shootouts, the results are a little unusual given their talent. The points are good. They lead the Western Conference, and they've been doing it for the most part with backup goaltending, which makes some of this all the more impressive.
Absolutely. Scott Wedgwood has done a fantastic job for the Avs as their starter, with Mackenzie Blackwood being out due to injury. He's got the most wins in the NHL right now, so he's definitely been building his confidence and the confidence of the team behind him.
One of the things important about goaltending, and when you look at it, you cover the National Hockey League for a while, you realize this isn't like it's in the NFL, right? We're watching football and a lot of these screens tonight, and you're looking at seeing a backup quarterback come in, and you're usually doomed. But in hockey, that's not the case. Really, there's a starter and there's a backup. But in truth, they're tandems. And if you don't have a good goaltender tandem, it's very hard to be a genuine Stanley Cup contender.
Absolutely. With the two of them, there is certainly that level of skill for both of them. So, I mean, the Cup year in 22, they had, that same kind of confidence in both of their goaltenders, which won them the Cup. So it's this team, they've said it from the get-go that it's feeling very much like that 22 team, and they've got the goaltending to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there with Darcy Kemper and Pavel Francouz, who were there at the time. Obviously, they needed both of those men during the playoff run to be able to get to that Stanley Cup. That was, of course, the last regular season in which Gabriel Landeskog played. Now he is back as well. We'll talk a little bit about him, but let's stick with the goalies for a moment. Because when we talk about this Wedgwood situation, we understand that Mackenzie Blackwood came back. He had the injury, kind of odd. The Avalanche were a little coy with what happened in the offseason. Actually learned from a Las Vegas broadcast in the preseason that he had a knee procedure in the offseason and needed to be able to come back from it. Hockey, as they say, it do be like that sometimes when coaches tell you or don't tell you about what the injuries actually are. But in this case, it's a little confusing to see Blackwood be activated and then not play very often. He played just a little bit, and then he hasn't been back in the fold. When is the expectation that he will be back as the regular starter? Because part of this is the advantage of youth for Blackwood as compared to Wedgwood. When do you think that's going to happen? Or are we looking at something? You gave the numbers for Wedgwood. Are we looking at an idea where Jared Bednar might just say, hey, I'm playing the hot hand, and right now that's simply Scott Wedgwood?
That is pretty much what Bednar's doing right now. He's even said that, he needed to give Blackwood more time to get that practice, get those reps in. He obviously was not happy with his performance in San Jose. So basically, the last few days off with them, he's really been hitting the ice and doing the work with UC Parkala and getting his legs back under him. So I would expect him, he's going to play against Vancouver, with Wedgwood playing tonight against Edmonton. And we'll kind of take it from there. He did say that, the San Jose game was almost kind of like his preseason game because he didn't have a chance to do any of that through training camp. So he just needed to knock some dust off. I expect him to be more solid against Vancouver tomorrow night.
Yeah, the Avalanche with a back-to-back up in Canada. Of course, tonight, Edmonton, tomorrow, Vancouver. Edmonton expected to be one of the contenders, as you would imagine, with Connor McDavid, perennial Hart Trophy candidate, and Leon Draisaitl. But Edmonton hasn't been one of those teams. It seems like they can't quite get over the hump consistently. Some of that has to do with the nature of the salary cap. When you're paying your stars the big money, you have to fill in. The Avalanche found a way to avoid that last year as part of the trade for Mikko Rantanen, which then brought them Marty Necas. And one of the things that I do want to discuss, for a lot of Avs fans out here who are looking at it and still sort of think, okay, it was a Rantanen or Necas type of scenario. It really wasn't. And even though this happened last spring, let's talk about that a little bit. For years, and the Avalanche had been working for almost 2 years through back channels to work on extending Mikko Rantanen. Mikko Rantanen's representation was looking at the growth of the salary cap. Made it clear he wanted about $14 million a year. The Avalanche willing to go a little short of 12. They do have a setup in their system, both with the Nuggets and with the Avalanche, in which by and large their payroll, when you look at the compensation, it kind of matches the resumes of the players that are there. So Rantanen wanted the money. They couldn't figure out a way to do it. They made a trade. They made that trade to Carolina. Carolina's people learned that Rantanen was dead serious on getting $14 million. They had to trade him for pennies on the dollar compared to what the Avs got in the trade, and then he eventually settled for roughly the money the Avalanche were going to offer anyway. But it was never a Rantanen or Natchez thing. And part of the idea of Natchez, who now got his new deal, is the fact that he's younger. He's only 26, the same age as Cale Makar, which a lot of people don't really realize. And Nathan MacKinnon talked about shortly after the trade that he realized that he had been in a bit of a lull. Got into some bad habits with Mikko Rantanen and didn't skate as much, especially on the power play. Natchez's speed makes MacKinnon move a little bit more. And when you look at these guys' numbers now, 20 points for MacKinnon, 18 points for Natchez. But even more impressive, half and half on goals for both. 10 and 10 for MacKinnon, 9 and 9 for Natchez. This line is obviously really gotten a lot of good synergy, and it's become very, very dangerous. So for the Avs, given the fact that they were kind of put into this position by Mikko Rantanen, it seems as if they pushed all the right buttons.
Absolutely. Marty Natchez has been nothing but impressive for this team, and Nathan MacKinnon is that player that makes everybody that he plays with better. He's always been that way. You see it in his play. He is a leader by example, and he's done that with Marty Natchez. And him and Natchez did kind of start off a little rusty, a little shaky, but they've kind of ironed those things out. They've really been able to communicate, find each other, and as I've talked to Coach Bednar about that's work. That's work for them, and they really work hard at it to get that chemistry and to get that communication down between the two of them.
That means obviously the Avalanche have to focus on secondary scoring as well. One of the problems that has tripped up Avs teams in previous years is the fact that team sometimes gets a little too top heavy. Now, when you look at the second line of Brock Nelson and Larry Nichushkin, obviously, and now Gabe Landeskog, that seems like a line that will come in time. Obviously, you like the composition of it, and it will get there. But they have gotten secondary scoring, especially from Victor Olofsson, the longtime Sabre, one-time Vegas Golden Knight, coming over to the Avs, playing on that third line and putting up big numbers and getting himself promoted now. You're starting to see Olofsson in the rotation on the power play, where he's also been effective. The Avs might have stolen one there.
Absolutely. And Victor Olofsson, now Bednar has kind of changed the lines around and moved Gabe Landeskog down to that third line with Jack Drury and Victor Olofsson. So playing with him has improved his game as well, but also playing with Nathan MacKinnon on that power play certainly has improved his game. Talking to Bednar about it, when they scouted him and decided to sign him, he is exactly what they were looking for, is what Bednar told me. And that being that he can score, he shoots, he scores on 5-on-5 and the man advantage.
Well, let's take a look then before we get a little bit closer. I want to remind everybody, I want to look at the power play in a moment, because that's something the Avs have had a challenge at. But I want to remind you that our party tonight is brought to you by our friends at Jameson, the official Irish whiskey of the Colorado Avalanche. Hard to get more Irish than when you distill it in County Cork, Ireland, obviously where Jameson has been headquartered and been going on now for hundreds of years. If you haven't had a chance, go check out that Airstream, check out some of the cocktails. They're putting together bespoke stuff just for tonight. And check out all the Jameson swag that you can check it out, a little bar out there if you're outside. So go give it a peek. And of course, we talked about the prizes you can win for Avalanche fans. We'll tell you a little bit more about it. But who would want to go to an Avs game this year? Not just go to an Avs game, but go in a suite. Not just go in any suite, but then also go into the Jameson Lounge and watch the game there. VIP package at Ball Arena. We're giving that away as a grand prize tonight. The way you do it, you scan those QR codes that are all around the bar here at number 38. You can check those out there and everywhere. Go ahead and scan those, put your name in. But there's another way you can get in as well. If you're headed to the bar, any of the bars, if you're ordering any Jameson drink tonight, you will get an additional raffle ticket and an opportunity. So you can scan, and that's one way you can scan and join us with Jameson tonight. And then that will bring you even closer to winning that VIP package at Ball Arena for either November 26th or December 13th, brought to you by our friends at Jameson. As we get ready for Puck Drop, Colleen, Shawn Drotar and Colleen Wolf with you here from Mile High Sports. One of the surprises about the Avalanche, we know they made a change. They went on the offensive side. Dave Haxtell, former Seattle Kraken head coach, legendary head coach of North Dakota, coached Brock Nelson there, as a matter of fact. Haxtell comes in to help with the offense and help with the power play. Kind of, for folks who aren't familiar with the way hockey breaks it down, to simplify it, essentially, You have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and instead of a special teams coordinator, you have a goaltenders coach, and it's the same thing. So Haxtell coming in to help manage the offense and the power play. So far, it's been rough. 23rd in the league coming into tonight in power play, hitting at only 17%. That is shockingly low for the Avalanche talent of this caliber. But I will say that one of the things that I've seen over the last couple of years prior to Haxtell's arrival is that the team does appear to be getting at it more than they were before. There's still the occasional overpassing, but they are taking more shots per power play attempt. They're being more aggressive in chasing it and crashing the net. For the Avs, is it just a matter of time until this comes along, or is now at this point there's something that you have to be a little worried about?
I'm not worried at this point in time because the power play has started off slow, but again, with the addition of Victor Olofsson and just kind of the changing around with Gabriel Landeskog back in full-time now, it has been a little bit of a rocky start. I think it's just a matter of them finding the chemistry between each other and really dialing it in.
Some of that has to do with repetition, obviously. When you have teams that change a lot, that's probably a problem. And so for the Avalanche, you kind of feel like if health permits, then it will come around. On the bright side, no such issue on the penalty kill, where the Avalanche are second in the NHL in penalty kill. When you think of the Avs special teams, you're thinking of a dangerous power play and a penalty kill that's generally, okay. But the Avalanche have a lot of defensemen that are offensively minded. And so for the Avs, the penalty kill has not always been one of the stronger suits. This year so far, you wouldn't even say so good. You'd say so great.
Absolutely, with Parker Kelly, Brock Nelson, and just as Bednar explains that Brock Nelson's size and his reach are a huge asset to the team and that penalty kills specifically for sure.
So for the Avs in this game, obviously, you're taking on an Edmonton Oilers team that we know they can skate, we know they can score. We know they're a little top line heavy, but when that top line is that top line, when you have Leo Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on it, that can be enough to get you over the top. And so for the Avalanche, what are the keys to this game? You're on the road. You want to make sure, obviously, you never want to allow the first goal on the road. It's not a death sentence, but you don't want to do that. You'd like to be able to ease the crowd off. For the Avs, is this one of those games where you'd like to see them put the pedal to the metal right off the bat? Or would you rather have them maybe feel it out for a little bit, see what Edmonton has? They are off to a much slower start than the Avalanche. What would be the strategy?
Strategy is definitely for them to stay out of the box because the Oilers are the number one power play team in the NHL right now. So that is certainly key, as well as on the other flip side, the Avs are the best penalty to have that great penalty kill. So it's just a matter of keeping it away from the special teams, get it done 5-on-5.
You mentioned Parker Kelly. Parker Kelly's one of those guys on the fourth line, kind of a grinder, kind of a scrapper, right? Rewarded with the new deal from the Avalanche in the offseason. There are kind of players for hockey fans, for hockey purists. They look at someone like Parker Kelly and go, okay, I want more guys like that. For the Avalanche, at times on that fourth line, they have had difficulty in recent years sort of finding that kind of talent and finding that kind of skill set and the want to. There is kind of a part in that fourth line, a grind line, a checking line, where you have to really be responsible defensively but still chip in where you can. And they do seem to have found a good alignment there with Kelly at the center of it.
Absolutely. Parker Kelly is a fourth line guy. He's versatile and he is dedicated to that role, being able to adapt to all the different players that he's had to play with. I talked to Bednar about this just earlier this week, that when Logan O'Connor comes back, that's going to change the dynamic of the team. That's going to change some lines around. And he wants to get that Parker Kelly, Logan O'Connor, Jack Drury line back together, and he said he will at some point in time. But until then, Parker Kelly's just grinding it out with whoever he's playing with and really making the other players around him better players as well.
Jack Drury, of course, the nephew of Chris Drury, former Avs legend, and you talk about a player like that, it's easy to forget. He was one of the returns in the Rantanen trade. It wasn't just Natchez. It was Natchez, Drury, and picks. And moving on from Rantanen also allowed you then to retain Nelson. So, now when you look at the way those trades were assembled in this offseason, the Avs, who were a cup challenger last year, but they keep running into the Dallas Stars, but in this case now, the Avs seem to have a better lineup top to bottom. The four offensive lines make sense. The defensive pairings make sense. They haven't gotten Sam Girard yet, but Sam Malinsky's growth continues as well. So when you look at the Avalanche's defense, when you look at the four lines, where are the holes? We know that you'd like to have Logan O'Connor back. You'd like to get better synergy on that second line, but given the the body of work of the guys on it, you figure it'll come. If you're looking at the Avalanche right now and you say, where could they get better? Where could they improve? Where are you looking?
Honestly, it is just getting Logan O'Connor back because he is a key part of that team and he has been missed. Gavin Brimley's been doing a really great job filling in on that fourth line, and his speed has been very noticeable, and he's been doing a great job. So really not many holes. This team's got a lot of depth, and again, is really resembling that 22 team.
Before we head off and get ready for puck drop, which is coming up in just a little bit, we do have to talk about, obviously, Cale Makar. Nathan MacKinnon is sort of the engine that makes it go offensively, but Cale Makar is one of one. A couple of years ago, when you started to have some young defensive players, high-quality players, the Quinn Hughes of the world come in, there was this idea that Cale Makar was going to be joined with all of these guys in this new renaissance of blue liners. That may happen, but they're not on the same level as he is. Cale Makar leads all defensemen in scoring. He leads it by a significant margin, and we know about the responsibility on the defensive end. No blue liner has been in a finalist for the Hart Trophy, for the league's MVP, since Chris Pronger back in 2001. Cale Makar absolutely belongs in that discussion, and I would argue if they continue to both have the year they're having, Makar probably has a better case than MacKinnon. But one of the challenges is these two guys may end up splitting some of each other's vote because they're on the same team.
Exactly. And it's really for them, they don't even keep track of those kinds of things. But he is just such an outstanding, elite, amazing player to watch, fun to watch, and he's only going to continue to get better.
It is remarkable, transformative player. I remember when he came out in another radio life, I ended up talking about it and said after I had less than a year, but I said it with my veteran radio partner, Ben Sandy Clough, the GOAT of sports radio in Colorado. I said that is going to be the most transformative defenseman since Bobby Orr. Sandy, who went to St. Lawrence College back in New York, stared at me as if I had two heads on my shoulders. But a couple years later, he came back and he's like, you know what? You were right. You saw it. Cale Makar obviously is the kind of player that changes franchises. He is up for a contract in the next couple of years. It's going to break the bank. And keep in mind, all of the moves, the random moves, whatever moves they do this year, they are done in part to make sure that Cale Makar doesn't play any other game in any other sweat except an Avalanche one.